Before I was a mother, I taught other people how to be one. I was a third grade teacher and taught parenting classes on the side, an easy way to make a few bucks. I always started the classes the same way. I told them that although I wasn't technically a parent myself, I was clearly the most qualified because I had yet to make one parenting mistake. I had answered all of their questions with skill and ease. When a parent complained about a kid who would refuse to eat dinner and then beg for snacks, I would answer, "That's when you give your child choices. Would you like to eat your dinner or go to bed hungry?" Easy. I used the same methods with my third graders. When they tried to give me excuses about why work wasn't done, I showed empathy, but they knew that I graded late work sometime in July or August. I worked hard to avoid power struggles and tried to let the child maintain as much control as possible. When I had my first baby, Ben, I realized I had lost my professional status. There was no book that told me how to calm my screaming baby. I had to figure out that one by trial and error. And there were lots of trials and errors before I figured out that only the pitch of my Conair Ion Shine ceramic hairdryer would soothe his sensitive soul. Once Ben got a little older, he became calm, sweet, and very funny. He was a pleaser, so I didn't have to worry about him disobeying or causing too much chaos. In fact, he was too preoccupied with his true love, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, to be disruptive. He's the only kid I know whose favorite gift on his 3rd birthday was a conducting baton, and who wanted to dress up as Ryan Murphy, one of the directors of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, for Halloween. He used to arrange Sesame Street figurines, play food, condiment bottles, neighbor kids, and anything else he could find into a choir, conducting vigorously and singing as loudly as he could to approximate hundreds of voices singing together. I don't think there's a parenting book in the world that discusses what to do when your child is leading his choir too loudly. My second child, Natalie, reversed Ben's pattern. She was sweet and an easy baby, but once she became mobile, I found myself saying things I was surprised to hear coming out of my own mouth. Gone were the days of remembering to give choices. All I had time for were quick commands. "Natalie, don't lick the garbage can. Raw onions are yucky. Saran wrap isn't for babies. Be careful with those crackers and don't dump them on the kitchen floor. You can't fit down the heat vent, sis. Be careful by the stairs with that bucket on your head. Please don't lick the broom." I said all of this within one magical hour. And Ben wasn't always so charming. He was so busy that he wasn't a big fan of eating. Now, let's go back to what I gave advice to the parents for in my classes. Let your child experience the natural consequences of their disobedience at mealtime. Let your child go hungry. What did I do when faced with the exact situation? I put my little boy in the baby's high chair so he couldn't leave without finishing his food. Bring on the power struggle. We may or may not still use this method now that he's 5. It still doesn't work. About 4 months before Natalie turned 2, I had my 3rd baby, Carson. I had 3 kids, 3 and under. It occurred to me I had gotten myself into something crazy one beautiful summer morning as I set out to drive 3 tiny children to my sister's house, a mere 40 minutes away. Halfway into the trip, we had an emergency, a potty emergency. I took a deep breath, grabbed the infant carrier and the rest of my crew, and we headed into a dimly lit, one-stall gas station bathroom. I've suppressed most of that memory, but I do remember that at one point I had the infant seat in one arm. I was lifting up Ben to wash his hands while simultaneously wrapping my free right leg around Natalie like a tentacle because experience suggested she would lick the floor if given the chance or the freedom. No way was I going to let them accept the natural consequences of touching or licking anything. Necessary demands and bribes were made. Now my baby is almost 2, and although I'm proud of the fact that his first words were a knock-knock joke, Proud that I have never tumbled even one of my children in the dryer like my mother accidentally did to me. And even more proud that Natalie and I survived her toddlerhood. I still can't consider myself an expert or a professional at parenting. I once had all of the answers, but I also had a very sterile experience with parenthood. I truly loved my students, but I was always glad to see them go at the end of the day. I got more sleep, but I didn't get snuggles or made up songs about how I'm the best mom, or Ben's favorite, but not really mine, lick kisses. I get frustrated when I'm not patient with them or when they're naughty and whiny, but I love that they are mine and I'm theirs. A friend and mentor of mine told me he never wanted to consider himself a professional storyteller, although he had traveled around the world for decades telling stories. He said that amateur means to love. It means you love what you're doing and you put your everything into it. It's your passion. If all the mistakes and struggles through parenting are just an indication of the love I have for my kids, I'm proud to be an amateur. I hope to always be one. Turns out, being a professional just means you make money doing a job, and I haven't seen a cent.